Alright, hey guys, what's up, guys? Uh, my first time ever being on a live, and I am really nervous, guys. I am absolutely really nervous right now. And if you guys want to ask me any question of political stuff, my past, what I do, what school I go ahead, ask it. We will be doing some stuff, and we will not be doing same thing that you might not think it might sound like really not that bad, but we will be doing some interesting ideas. And here's what we'll be doing. Number one, we will be reacting to some videos online. So some videos that I know many of you guys want to watch, and here are some of the videos we've been watching. These are some historical videos, but we're gonna be reacting to a video from a guy from one of my favorite YouTubers by the name of Professor Stein. And Professor Stein made a new video recently called every here's the new video he made. His video is called most insulting hand gestures, and explained in 16 minutes. Or do you guys want to watch a video from one of the best YouTubers on the planet, in my opinion, on history, Chat History, and his news video, which is called absolutely horrifying monsters that you'll absolutely horrifying monsters that you've never heard of. And I'll give you guys about 2 minutes. A minute to say who you guys want to watch. So you guys want to watch either Professor Stein or Chat History. And if you guys just like this video right now, you guys watch the video. Thank you for liking. Thank you for watching. I really mean it. I hope you guys like this video. Let's see. Oh my god, I'm actually a historian! Dude! Okay. So we got my boy Retro Historian. Make sure you guys watch his newest video, top 10 most underrated presidents in U.S. history. That video has been popping off, and he's about to make history now. And I also want to tell him right now, thank you so much, Retro Historian, for all the support. And it's been an absolute journey for the past year now of putting my channel. And when I started off simple, just going to historical sites like William McKinley National Museum and just posting videos there. And now I am doing live videos. So let's go with Chat History's news video. Absolutely horrifying monsters you've never heard of. And yes, guys, I am subscribed to this guy. I don't know. I subscribe to every.
What's your worst essay grade?
Probably like a 71.
Worst essay grade, probably like a 60%.
Probably like a C.
Have you tried using?
Introducing Grammarly, like you've never seen before. Your all-in-one writing essential. Today,
more terrifying than those from Southeast Asia. Play diesel of nightmare fuel. First up is the Pontianak, a malevolent spirit with a bone to pick. Specifically yours. All 206 of them. Originating from the likes of Malaysian and Indonesian folklore, the Pontianak is said to be the vengeful spirit of a pregnant woman who either died in childbirth or at the hands of her partner. So imagine that you're taking a midnight Malaysian stroll, slurping down a Malaysian meal of Malaysian soup. Through the aroma of boiling broth and steamy veggies, your nose catches the subtle scent of flowers, your ears, the delicate cry of an infant. It's just then that you spot a figure in the dark, standing beneath a big, beautiful, bountiful banana tree. Gracefully creeping into the moonlight is a young woman, clad in a flowing white dress with silky, long, raven black hair and friggin' sweet honkers. But that's how they get you. Seduction is the Pontianac's weapon of choice, at least for the initial bait. But as long as you're a nice guy, you should have nothing to fear. And not the Reddit definition of a nice guy. Cheaters, beaters, and legend leaguers all face a terrible fate should they cross the path of a Pontianac. So approach at your own risk. If you do find yourself overcome with the manly urge to try to pick up a ghostly gal in the middle of the night, you'll notice a few things as you make your move. For one, that delightful floral scent quickly turns to pure putrescence. Her soft, pale hands now don razor-sharp nails.
I gotta read what my boy Retro Historian just said. I think Woodrow Wilson is I think Woodrow Wilson is the scariest monster I can think of. He blows all these creatures away. Bro, that's actually fucking true. As much as I think there's no worse monster ever than Woodrow Wilson. That guy literally is the most terrifying person of all fucking time. And, before, I know we're watching this video right now, guys, but I just want to show you something that I think is really interesting, guys, but here's what I want to show you. Alright. So, if you're wondering to yourself, why do I hate Woodrow Wilson? This is why I hate Woodrow Wilson. Alright. This man had the most, there it is, the most nasty ass teeth I can ever think. And I'm gonna show you what his teeth looked like real quick. So here's what his teeth looked like. It's kind of hard to see, guys, but here's what he looked like. We'll go back to the video real quickly, but I'm sorry, guys. My first time. But we'll show you what his teeth actually looks like. Alright. There it is. This man had the teeth of a fucking demon. Look at this shit. Look at this. This man never brushed his fucking teeth before. Oh my god. Holy shit. No wonder why he's so fucking hated. God damn, brush your fucking Woodrow Wilson teeth. Oh my god, this man had the most nasty ass teeth ever. Holy shit. His fangs are nightmare fuel. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. That man, and here's a little fun fact that I know about. The reason why Wilson had so many fucking strokes is many doctors believe that is because he never brushed his fucking teeth. So kids, if you're ever wondering to yourself, why should I ever brush my teeth? Well, if you don't brush your teeth, then you're gonna end up like Woodrow Wilson and have the fucking most nasty ass teeth of all fucking time. And the funny thing about Woodrow Wilson I will talk about most is that a lot of people wanted to defend and talk about he was actually correct on certain issues, like creating the 16th Amendment, and do not was other good stuff. First off, shut the fuck up. Second off, Teddy Wilson was gonna pass the bill no matter what. And third off, the most important factor is I'm not gonna vote for a guy. Okay, then this commercial. Okay, kids, brush your teeth to not become Woodrow Wilson. Absolutely fucking true, bro. I'm not kidding you. If we ever get a chance to, if I ever, I never want to be. I'm sorry, guys, for stuttering. I'm sorry, but that's true. They should have made a dance commercial where they say, okay, kids, so you're looking at presidential teeth. We have Calvin Coolidge's teeth. We have Teddy Roosevelt's teeth. We have Ronald Reagan's teeth. Now we have Woodrow Wilson's teeth. Holy shit! Why does he look like shit? Why the fuck does he look like he never brushed his teeth in his entire fucking life? Okay, kids, make sure you brush your teeth so you don't end up like him. Oh my god. And I'm sorry, guys, for my stutter. I have a pretty bad stutter recently. I've had pretty bad stuttering. Oh god. This guy's got the most fucking nasty ass teeth of all fucking time. Hold on, guys. Let me just say more photos of some presidents that I think are really interesting. Just my opinion. Alright. Oh yeah, that's my favorite photo. That's my favorite photo. Sorry. I'm about to show you guys my favorite photo of a president. And it's probably my favorite photo. Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge with his hat. And, you know, look at that smile. Look at that smile. How could anybody act like this is this is the man who caused the Great Depression? How this man's economic policies caused it. It's absolutely not true at all. This man, he's got the smile that could light up an entire audience. Man. Oh, we got Calvin Coolidge wearing his farmer uniform. Yeah. Farmer Cal! Farmer Cal! That's what I'm talking about. Farmer Cal! Farmer Cal, yes. Farmer Cal. Calvin Coolidge is the go to Mike. Absolutely fucking true. Absolutely fucking true. A lot of people shouldn't Calvin Coolidge because, you know, they talk about, like, you know, depending on what your political affiliation is, if you're a liberal or leftist, or you're a conservative, or you're a moderate, or you're one of those MAGA Republicans, moderates like Calvin Coolidge because they like a lot of his policies. Conservative, like Reagan conservatives, love Calvin Coolidge because Ronald Reagan himself famously actually had a portrait of Calvin Coolidge in the White House, besides with Thomas Jefferson. Liberals hate Calvin Coolidge because a lot of his policies were very, very laissez-faire. Leftists despise him because laissez-faire economics. But my opinion has always been positive because I thought deeply that he was an honest man, and he was. When he got in office in 1924 after the death of Warren G. Harding and within the Teapot Dome scandal, he took something that was not that he had never been granted before. He never wanted to become president, but when he was granted it, he served until 1929 and served with dignity and respect to everyone. So that's what I like about Calvin Coolidge, because I mean even creators like Mr. Beat, who, as most of you guys know, is a liberal, more liberal history creator. Even he has said that Calvin Coolidge is one of his top 10 greatest presidents of all time. One of his list. So definitely Calvin Coolidge is one of the people I have great respect for. And, you know, I wish there's more Americans like Calvin Coolidge in the world, because it's a damn shame that he's been dead for such a long time. I think he's been dead for like a couple years. But let's go finish the video that we were watching. Absolutely horrifying mythical monsters you'd never heard of. Let's finish this video. Wait, hold on. Okay. Same man, I love Coolidge, and I'm a Reagan conservative. I actually have a painting of George Washington and Coolidge in my room. What? That's actually fucking cool. Holy shit. That's actually fucking cool. I had no idea that actually happened. I had no idea you have a painting of Washington and Coolidge in your room. Bro, I have to tell you, as much as I talk about I love presidents, and I do love history more and more every day. I will be also doing more videos focusing on side of American history, like focusing on European history. But if there's one president that I could have a portrait in my room, it would be either Lincoln, Washington, or Teddy Roosevelt. That's just my opinion. Those are the three presidents I could actually take in myself. The president needs to be. Sorry. I got all three. That's cool, Retro. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry, guys. That's interesting. But let's go back to our video. We've been watching absolutely horrifying mythical monsters that you've never heard of. No.
And her delicate face now bears bloodthirsty fangs. You're in for a rough encounter. The Pontianak has a purely physical attack style, so keeping your distance would have been wise. If you survive the shock of her terrifying appearance, you're going to wish that you hadn't, as all of your pain receptors will now be the ones screaming. Speaking of which, a Pontianak may choose to let out a deafening wail, capable of rupturing your eardrums. But bleeding ears are the least of your worries, because soon you'll have a bleeding belly. As a symbolic gesture for the child that she was never able to bear, a Pontianak will take her terrifying talons and tear through your trembling tummy, stealing your stomach, looting your liver, and kidnapping your kidneys. Why? Because they taste good? But if you don't feel like having your insides being converted to outsides, here's what you can do. First and...
Sorry. Bro, Retro! Retro, bro. Her fangs are still better than Wilson's. Absolutely fucking true. Oh god. That's absolutely true, bro. Her fangs are like much better than fucking Wilson. Who's your favorite vice president? Oh, that's a great question. I'm gonna say George H.W. Bush. Just based on his experience. You know, George H.W. Bush is my favorite vice president of all time. And the reason why I would say is because of his experience. He was the head of the ambassador of the United Nations. Could have picked mine as that. Yeah, I would say that's kind of tough because there's, in my opinion, I think there really is no greatest vice president of all time, in my opinion. There are some vice presidents I have great respect for. I have great respect for vice presidents like, people like, John Nancy Gardner and Richard Nixon. And I could also bring up and say people like Al Gore. Even though Al Gore was a funny guy, I would say Al Gore probably, or George H.W. Bush. Even some examples like John Adams was a great vice president. Those are some. Hannibal Hamlin is a good example of vice president that are really good. But I feel like there is no, like, I gotta go with Bush. I gotta go with fucking Bush because Bush, out of all the vice presidents, had the most experience besides Nixon. Nixon was representative, senator of California. I picked Gorehead from Futurama as my vice president. That's a good pick. You always gotta pick Gore. Always pick Gore. Always pick Al Gore. Always pick Al Gore. Oh my god. But let's go back to our video we've been watching. Thank you guys so much for all the interactions in this video. And I also want to thank you guys so much for all the support that you've been giving me. It's been an absolute blast. And I promise right now, guys, I will not leave YouTube no matter what. Unless something bad happens. And knowing guys, I'm perfectly fine. But let's go back to our video that we were watching.
Most obvious, don't approach crying women in the middle of the night. It's a huge red flag. walk on. That's someone else's problem. Second, take a glance down at her piggies. Legends state that Pontianacs have gross feet, so this may be a warning sign to hightail it out of there. Or she might just have gross feet. As a third option, albeit a bit expensive, is that Pontianacs apparently hate the sound of cannon blasts, so if you're facing peril, have her stare down a barrel. Fourth, final, and most effective if you find yourself about to be shredded to bits, is managing to get behind the spooky spirit and jamming an iron nail into the nape of her neck. This is the Pontianac's factory reset spot, rendering her docile, subdued, and apparently according to some strange versions of the legend, she will become, quote-unquote, the perfect wife, at least until the nail is removed. Then she just gets back to her murderous ways.
Don't raise dragons right off the bat. For new players, at the start of the game, don't rush to raise dragons.
Sorry, guys.
You might get a powerful dragon at the beginning.
Dude, you gotta run. That Pontiac is after everybody. But I'm jamming. Well, that demon over there is about to jam her fingers into your belly, so you better... What are those? My Raycons.
No!
This video is
No!
These are Raycons Everyday Earbuds Classic. Those classic earbuds.
No, bro, no. No, don't do that, bro. Nah, man. Listen, bro, it's perfectly fine making fun of Woodrow Wilson all the fucking time, and I love making fun of Woodrow Wilson, bro, but nah, bro, don't be bringing up his wife. Well, I mean, he did, to be honest with you, his wife was probably, his wife was basically the president of the United States while he had a fucking stroke, so, when you think about it, she was the first female president of all time. So before Kamala gets elected in 2028, never gonna happen. So she's probably the first president.
You'll be wearing every day. Sick of those bulky headphones that morph your skull like Play-Doh? Tired of earbuds that fall out of your ear holes the microsecond you engage in any kind of physical activity? Don't want to force.
Sorry. She was basically the 29th president. Yeah, that's true. That's fucking true. So, as you guys know, on October 2nd, 1919, Woodrow Wilson had a massive stroke after his fucking long-ass tour in America to support of the League of Nations to join it during the Treaty of Versailles. And while he had a terrible stroke, and his wife was basically the president. His wife was like out there being like, oh yeah, well, I'll bring you the papers to the president. He's gonna sign it and blah blah blah. He said no. He said no. He said no. He said yes. He said yes. And she basically was the one who signed the bill. So she was basically the 29th president of the United States. That's basically who she was, and which Congress opposed because they thought that the league sucked, which it did. After all, it's no okay. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I gotta look that up real quick. The Congress the Congress who opposed the League of Nations. Let me look it up for you guys real quick because that's actually a very, very, very tough question. Hold on, guys. Let me look up for you. The League of Nations was fucking ass. That's what it was. It was ass. It was booty cheeks. That shit fucking sucked ass. So let's see. Alright, what Congress supported? Let's see. Sorry guys, trying to figure out what Congress opposed it. I think it was the 70th Congress. I'm not sure. Can somebody tell me what Congress opposed the League of Nations real quick? Oh no, the 70th Congress under FDR's administration. I'm sorry. Fuck. This is embarrassing. I'm supposed to be the history nerd. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Sorry. Got it. Yeah, got it, guys. 66th Congress. March 4th, 1919 to March 4th, 1921. Yeah, this is the famous Congress that refused to join the League of Nations. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this is the Congress that said no, that shit fucking sucks ass. No League of Nations. Yeah, right. 66th Congress. The 66th Congress. They were fucking right. They were right though. The League of Nations was fucking ass. It was ass. I know what it is, but people make a point about oh, it was a good policy, it was a good idea, you know, it was a good system of they were gonna promote democracy all across the world. Promote democracy. Okay, first off, from a quote from a famous quote of Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, no, they were epic. I'm fine. I like the 66th Congress now. They were epic. After all, the League of Nations. Yeah, it did. It was fucking. It sucked ass. It didn't do shit. I mean, dead ass. During World War II, this was the League of Nations response to Hitler invading countries. Who's your favorite presidential candidate for? Who's your favorite candidate for president? Henry Clay. Henry Clay, and my second favorite probably would be William Jennings Bryan. And my first favorite probably would be, I would say would probably have to be, this is my opinion, but it would have to be probably Ross Perot. I just like Henry Clay. I like him. Yeah, those are good picks. Those are good picks. Yeah, Ross Perot, Henry Clay, Al Smith are my favorites. Yeah, that's good picks, I would say. My only problem with Al Smith, though, was he had no chance of winning the presidential election at all because he was a Catholic, and back then being a Catholic was like being like a fucking demon. Back then, and that's a good one because my grandpa, who actually voted for Kennedy, he's a registered Republican himself. He famously said that when Kennedy was elected for the first time, it was a shocker because being a Catholic was considered to be the biggest scandal of all time. People were thinking that Al Smith was actually going to dig a tunnel underneath the White House and give the power to the Pope. But definitely, if I had to pick between Al Smith or Herbert Hoover in a presidential election, you gotta be fucking. You think I'm gonna vote fucking for Herbert Hoover? The fuck? The guy who's named after a fucking vacuum cleaner? What the hell? No! I vote for my boy Al Smith, Governor of New York. Go New York! I'm sorry, but let's go back to the video that we were watching earlier. The one we kind of missed. Alright, sorry guys. Yeah, sorry guys. My favorites are Daniel Webster and John Anderson. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Hoover had a pet alligator. No, I think that's John Quincy Adams, if I'm correct. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think John Quincy Adams had pet alligators. I do know Hoover created his own game called Hoover Ball, which is interesting. From TNT Pop, My favorites are Daniel Webster and John B. Anderson. Those are good picks. Those TNT Pop. Those are fantastic picks for presidential candidates. I mean, Daniel Webster was a great presidential candidate, I would say. So was John B. Anderson. Anderson was a great presidential candidate himself. Both of them lost the presidential election, but both of them got a relatively respectable third party popular vote, I would say. So that's in my opinion. But here, let's go back to the video we were watching earlier. I'm sorry. They both had I'm sorry about that. They both had pet alligators. I guessed Hoover wanted to live on the wild side. Great picks at TNT Pop. Yeah, great picks. Great picks, TNT Pop. And for retro, that's 100% true. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. Definitely. Come on. We all know damn well that Hoover probably loved the idea of becoming president. You know, I think, in my opinion, Hoover was one of the people that, like, his presidency was like the low mark. I mean, Hoover's political career was like a masterful thing. He was the director of aid to Belgium. He was director of aid to Russia during the Russian famine. He became a secretary of commerce. And famously, Calvin Coolidge had this famous quote about Hoover. And this quote actually explains very simply what his opinion of Hoover was. And here's the quote that he actually had. I have it right here with you guys. Which is a quote of Hoover. That's all, guys. Yeah. So here's the quote from Calvin Coolidge, and here's what he said. This man has offered me unsolidified advice for 6 years. All of it bad. That's true. Imagine that's so fucking true. So William Henry Harrison had a pet cow. Imagine a cow in White House. It would be the best president in the last 800% won, and it'll probably get elected by a landslide. Wait, hold on. Let's do Oh, sorry, guys. Let's do something called yaps. Hold on. Before I do, let me show you the quote that Calvin Coolidge said about Hoover. This man has offered me unsolidified advice for 6 years. All of it is bad. But I'm not kidding. That's true about Coolidge. Coolidge's opinion of Hoover had always been negative. I mean, Coolidge thought Hoover was just he thought Hoover was like a nice guy and everything, but he never thought Coolidge was like, like this like badass super marine soldier who needs to come back and win a third term. You know what I mean? He just thought Coolidge was like out of his fucking mind. So that's interesting. But let me show you guys the little let me play a game of game of yaps. Here it is, guys. Sorry, guys. Of yaps. Okay, yeah. So as my boy Retro said, our nominee for Democrats, it will be Gavin Newsom. Republicans, JD Vance. And then add one more candidate. Mr. Cow! Okay, guys, we got Gavin Newsom, JD Vance, the dead cow from William Henry Harrison's presidency. Alright, guys. Oh yeah, I forgot that part. We add his we add their presidential nominee picks, their vice president national nominee picks. So, alligator. I don't know. Who do you guys think Gavin Newsom will pick to be vice president? I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be like Tim Walz, probably. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Tim Walz. Ron DeSantis. Okay, guys. So first off in the row, we got my boy Dead Cow. And Dead Cow. Oh, sorry. All right, let me go back to that video. Yeah, Andy Beshear's a good pick. Andy Beshear would probably be a good pick for vice president. I like him. Out of all the Democrats, I would think who would probably be the best nominee. I would go with Andy Beshear because, like, he's from a very conservative state, but he's at least actually kind of he's liberal, but he's actually moderate, and he's actually not very controversial. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I vote for a Dead Cow. Okay, guys. First off, what do you think? Who do you think Ohio's gonna vote for? Gavin Newsom, JD Vance, or the Dead Cow? Ohio. Gavin Newsom, JD Vance, or the Dead Cow? Oh, I'm gonna say, hold up. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. Yes! Alright, hold up. So, Vance wins Ohio, but he barely wins it. So let's just say he wins it by, like, let's give him, like, this much. And the Dead Cow comes in. The Dead Cow. Nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he barely wins Ohio, like, this much. Alright, next state. Next state. The Dead Cow. The Dead Cow comes in. 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 The Dead Cow let's do Indiana. Who do you think is going to win Indiana? Gavin Newsom, J.D. Vance, or the dead cow? And no one at political stage nowadays, I think Americans would vote for a fucking dead cow. And especially, I would vote for it. Dead cow! Yeah! Alright, let's go, baby. So, Virginia. Dead cow! Alright. Dead cow wins in Indiana, wins in Kentucky, wins in Tennessee, wins in North Carolina, wins in South Carolina, wins in Georgia, wins in Alabama, wins in Louisiana, wins in Arkansas, wins in Alaska, wins in Hawaii, wins in Wyoming. Yeah, that's definitely label. I would definitely vote for a fucking dead cow. I would. Let's see. He also wins in Nebraska. Sorry. Montana, North Dakota, Idaho, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma. Definitely wins in Vermont. Definitely wins there. Definitely wins there. Definitely wins there. Definitely would win in West Virginia. And definitely would win in Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and DC. 100% would probably would 100% win in New Jersey. Hold up. I'm gonna say for him, Missouri. I would say probably would win Iowa. Minnesota, California, Oregon. But that cow wins New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Missouri, Texas. And the dead cow doesn't just win, the dead cow wins by a landslide. Oh, sorry. There you go, guys. We did it, guys. The dead cow has won by a landslide. Oh, hell. The dead cow. Let's go. Dead cow is the 40th president and becomes the best president for the 21st century by doing nothing. Let's talk about. Let's go. Let's go. Dead cow. All hail. All right, guys. We're going to be playing All Hail to the Chief. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know how it goes. That's what I'm talking about. Dead cow. We did it, guys. Mr. Cow, how do you get elected for the 40th president? Moo, 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 moo. Okay. Moo, 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 moo. All right, translation. J.D. Vance can suck my balls. Gavin Newsom is a little bitch. Great ideas, sir. Great ideas. Oh my god, that was fun. That was really fun. That was fun. That was like fucking fun. Oh my god, that was absolutely amazing. That I enjoy that much, man. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for being in my chat. I appreciate it. We'll be the Democrat nominee. Alright, let's go back to our video we're watching. Chat history. Let's finish that up real quick.
In Albion, no matter where you go or what you do, your mount will accompany you on your journey. Perhaps you'll pick the ox, a
activity. Don't want to fork over a quarter of your rent for overpriced nonsense? That's where Raycon's got your back. I've been using my own for several months now, and
we
said
should do
they're a
that.
solid
We
product.
should do that. We should do that.
Whether I'm weathering the weather outside or doing my daily domicile drills inside, Raycon's ergonomic fit and 32 hours of battery life ensure that I don't ever need to stop. But if I am in a pinch, just a quick 10-minute charge will give me 90 minutes of playtime. Want to know what's going on while you're dancing in the moonlight? Awareness mode keeps you on high alert while you're still able to get low. Need to lock in at the office? Raycon's sleek and small design means that you can bring it anywhere. In your pocket, on a rocket, in your sock if you can stock it. The Everyday Earbuds Classic are available in several colors to match your aesthetic. So if that sounds pretty neat, click and finger my link in the pinned comment below or go to buyraycon.com/chat history to get 20% off of your own pair of Everyday Earbuds. All right, Pontiac, I ain't scared of you. Oh, fuck. Now we jump ship from Southeast Asia to the forests of West Africa with the Sosobonsam. The OG jump scarer, this slippery little devil, hides in the canopies of the forests of Ghana, waiting for its next victim to wander through the woods. The beings are said to be huge, much larger than an average human, with jaws capable of swallowing a head whole
Holy
in one
shit!
gulp.
That shit looks like
Although
a
oddly
fucking-
proportioned, the
Holy-
Sosobonsam is
Oh my
ape-like in
God.
appearance with gangly, dangly arms and legs and a slender torso, often depicted with dark or red-colored fur. Using its iron hook feet to grip a grasp on Ghanaian growth, the Sosobonsam lurks in the trees awaiting its prey. Once spotted, the monster will wiggle its fingies in delight with a don't mind if I do attitude like it's about to grab the last hot dog out of the warm Wawa hot dog cabinet. Going in for the kill, the Sosobonsam swings from the tree limbs to snatch and grab any would-be traveler, should they be caught unawares alone in the dead of night. The monster's monstrous arms envelop you in a deadly death hug, crushing your bones and internals. Luckily, this will most likely send you to the Shadow Realm before it ever gets a chance.
I know. Stop, bro. Stop. Alright. Wilson's teeth. Nixon's. Lincoln. Head. Anymore. What else would there be? Lincoln's head. And maybe I would say, oh, Garfield's doctor. Wilson's teeth, Lincoln's head, Garfield's doctor. Garfield's doctor. Alright, first I have Wilson's teeth. Dead Cow wins. Comeback Dead Cow wins. Wins all these states. Fuck you, Wilson. Oh, hey guys. Oh, what's up, Hank? What's up, man? What's up? Who's your favorite candidate for vice? Who's your favorite candidate for vice president? George H.W. Bush. Hey guys. God damn it, Bobby! Bobby, stop jacking off in front of babies. I can't. God damn it, Bobby. Oh, sorry. I'll dare you all what? I'll dare you all what? I'll dare you all what? I'll dare you all. Cactus Jack was a real Texan. I'll tell you all what. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, and sorry, but hold on real quick. The one state that Wilson does win is... You know what? What's Wilson was in a little state. One state. Yeah, Nixon's still a good pick. Nixon's still a fantastic pick for vice president. If I had to do a top 10 best vice president pick, he'd be probably in the top 10, probably top 5. Captain Jack would be top 5 too, but Bush probably my number 1 pick, for my opinion. Hold up. All right, guys. You ready, guys? Oh, man. Okay. Okay, guys. 1912 election. Okay, guys. Ew! Yeah, exactly. I fucking hate charcoal. Propane, gas. I'm sorry. All right, guys. You guys ready, guys? 1912 election. New campaign trail. Incoming President William Howard Taft faces a divided party. Despite some records of success, he has come under scrutiny by the progressive wing of the party. President Taft must make his case of compromise override his faith. He looks keep us alive without abandoning his conservatives sensibilities. Alright, guys. We have one goal in this mission. To kick Thomas Woodrow Wilson's ass so badly that he goes back to fucking New Jersey where he belongs. Already? Fuck Wilson! Alright. No. Can't do it. He's gonna die. Government. Sorry, guys. The internet's pretty bad. No, no, no! Okay, maybe I can make stuff. No! It's a bug bond! I like Roosevelt. I love Teddy Roosevelt. I love him. Teddy Roosevelt could be a fucking cult leader and I wouldn't fucking care. That's just my opinion about it though. I wouldn't care. Teddy Roosevelt could say, I'm running for a fucking 5th term. And I don't care what you guys talk about. I don't care about it. I'm gonna run for 5th term, become president for life, and I would still support him. Teddy Roosevelt, 5th term. 5th term. Alright, let's go, Hayes, man! All hail Hayes! 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 Alright, do you guys want to do... Oh, that's easy. Propane. Propane. Hold up. Propane. Man, fuck charcoal. Propane all the way, baby. I don't know much about William Wheeler or George Clinton. I do know George Clinton was the first governor of New York, though. guys. So, do you guys want to do easy mode, normal mode, hard mode, blowout mode, or cakewalk? Let's do easy or normal. Oh man, I did normal, guys. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Alright, guys, hold on. Ugh, women's voting? Ew! Yes! Yes, I did that. Yes! Whoa! Alright, guys. Franklin Pierce. Oh no, Howard Wilson! Fuck! Oh, oh my god, I'm about to buzz. Sorry. Yes. Yes. Wilson, let's go, Teddy! Number 1. Let's go! Thank God was lost. Man, look at that smile.
Ants to feed on your remains. If a cautious individual, the Sosabonsam may attempt to disarm or disorient you with its ability to mimic familiar sounds. Oh, what was that? Once you've been thrown off course, your life expectancy quickly drops to mere seconds as the swinging vampire monkey man makes its move. But if you don't want to end up a monkey man's meal, there are precautions that you can take. For one, never travel alone in the forest at night. It's kind of the takeaway lesson for this legend. Travel with a companion to avoid an untimely demise and to spark good conversation. And I told the guy, no tomato on the sandwich. And what does he do? He puts extra tomatoes on it. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Fuck up. You know, it wasn't even... Additionally, protective charms blessed by your local village priest are said to ward off the creatures as they hate the taste of religion. But if these simple solutions just don't seem possible, don't worry. For another solution is already in the making, and you can thank chocolate. Now, before you embarrassingly offer a bar to the beast, let me explain. You see, Sosabonsams thrive in the trees, so let's just get rid of the trees. Thanks to excessive cocoa farming, Ghana has lost a majority of its primary forest since the 1950s. Sure, the trees are gone, but so is this fictitious freak. Strap on some earmuffs, because this next creature's a real screecher. Slopped out of Southern Slavic folklore is the Drekavac, which translates to the Screamer. This myth takes on many forms across several different variations of its story, but for this video, we will go with its infant form. The Drekavac is said to be the restless spirit of an unbaptized child, desperate for salvation. According to legend, the Drekavac takes the form of a gray, emaciated young child. Little limber limbs accompany its frail stature, offset only by its monstrously large dome, which definitely devastated a birth canal upon entry into this world. They are most prevalent around Christmas time, sure to put a damper on anyone's festivities, but they certainly will not go unnoticed. Problem is, one glance at this little fellow will make you go, ugh. Not a thought exists behind its bulging, glassy black eyes. No thought, but death. If it wasn't obvious by its name, the Drekavac is capable of emitting eardrum-rupturing shrieks, able to bring you to your knees in a single squeal. Yeah, like that. Now, the Drekavac itself is not an immediate threat in terms of it wanting to convert you into a fresh marinara. Instead, it serves as a looming omen. It is said that those who find themselves in its shadow are doomed to die a terrible death in the coming days. Whole villages may suffer cruel fates should they spot one nearby. The legend itself is often used as a deterrent for young children, teaching them to not wander too far from home lest they cross paths with the diminutive demon. Strange howls or yells in the night from local wildlife are often attributed to the Drekavac as a way to prove their existence to traumatized children. I mean, some of us were told that a giant anthropomorphic rabbit breaks into our houses once a year to leave us candy offerings in exchange for good behavior. So is it really that far-fetched? Parents do a lot to make sure that their kids behave, don't they? Honestly, I can't wait to tell Little Chat one day about how a small fairy will break in through his window to steal his dead teeth in exchange for a few bucks. Well, like most critters, the Drekavac can be defeated. The most obvious method is having the child properly baptized, finally putting its soul to rest. So, just have your friendly neighborhood priest join the party and cast holy on its unholy ass. Or, splash a cup of holy water in its face.
This game, you're not ready for it.
You're in the middle of this beautiful sci-fi environment, and you're seeing intrigue, the espionage, the alliances form.
Rest in peace. Japanese folklore. Definitely a very creative culture for instilling fear into kids and adults alike. After all, we need to balance the uwu anime girls with something a bit more fearsome. The Teki Teki does just that. Born from tragedy, this ghastly ghoul is the result of a young woman or schoolgirl who had fallen or was pushed onto train tracks and failed to get out of the way in time, causing her to become 50% lighter, but 100% angrier. I prefer the story of it being a malicious push, as simply just falling onto the train tracks is your own fault. Stay behind the yellow line at all times, people. Being a vengeful spirit, or Onryo, the Teki Teki is a violent little vixen, aiming to hunt down the living who wander around deserted locations or train tracks in the middle of the night. Her existence serves solely as a cautionary tale for kids, discouraging any late-night adventures to such places. It's interesting the tales that parents come up with to protect their children. So instead of it being like, "All right, Dad, I'm going to that old abandoned factory with some friends." The hell you are, that place isn't safe. It's more like, "All right, Dad, I'm going to that old abandoned factory with some friends." Sure, no problem. Just make sure you don't get murdered by
the factory fingerer.
What? Any encounter with a Teki Teki could be your last. While they are just a half-body apparition of a young girl, they're still a force to be reckoned with. You may first become aware of its arrival by the sound of its hands slapping on the cement, which is how it walks, and the origin of its onomatopoeic name. In some tellings of the story, she carries a small scythe as a weapon. Others, she bears razor-sharp nails. If approached, she may ask you a simple question.
Where are my legs?
In Japanese, of course. This is a trick question. She ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. Though, if you see a ghostly gal with her insides spilling out lumbering towards you on her hands, it should be common sense that you 180 the hell out of there. But you'd be wrong. Although she is restricted to just arms for movement, she is noted to be incredibly fast, even able to catch up to cars if necessary. Once she gets a hold of you, she will treat you to a similar fate as her own, using her scythe or nails to crack you open like a football Sunday beer can. Now, according to legend, and unfortunately for you, there's no clear way to defeat her, mainly just heeding the tale's warning to avoid deserted areas and train tracks. However, I'm sure a solid 45-yard field goal attempt could get the job done. What's scarier than a skeleton? A giant skull that flies. Originating from the folklore of the Iroquois or Haudenosaunee Native Americans surrounding the Great Sacandaga Lake in upstate New York, this sizable skull monster is the stuff of nightmares. Dubbed the Ganastistonje, this disembodied man-eating head's goal is to consume anything and everything. Men, women, children, entire villages, Prilosec, you name it. These dirigible domes are said to be the cursed souls of ones who have engaged in cannibalism or other various horrific acts within their lifetime. Thus, they are doomed to roam the earth with the curse of insatiable hunger. These heads can take the form of just mere skulls, but some versions of the tale depict them as full-fleshed faces with long flowing hair, either with feathered or bat-like wings. Their description reminds me a lot of those skulls from the Zelda franchise, particularly that one giant fella in the bottom of the well in Ocarina of Time. But I digress. It is said that even speaking about them attracts them to an area, as they have been known to descend on entire villages who keep their legend alive. Once summoned, these monsters begin wreaking havoc, biting and tearing victims apart, or swallowing them in one gulp, only to have to bite them immediately after, since they have no stomach. Their speed and sheer size makes escape nearly impossible. Even if you're hiding in a house like a little frightened mouse or scared as all hell while hidden in a well, they'll attack your shack for a crack at a tender little snack. In terms of defeating them, you're kind of SOL, as legends state that the Ganastistonje is virtually immortal and thus cannot be destroyed, save for one primitive weapon: fire. So get out your lighter and your pocket can of body spray and get to it. Neat. Well, that's all for this list. These monsters would be pretty scary if they were real.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I don't.
Yeah, I was headed to a nursing home, but then I discovered a 30-second trick that gave me my memory back. Now,
you in the studio audience for your warm welcome, and can I express through the medium of this television broadcast my appreciation to all of the people who welcomed us so graciously and in such a warm way to Atlanta today. I know that this broadcast is being carried through the whole a number of southern states, but certainly coming to Atlanta was a wonderful experience, and we're delighted to finish the day with this broadcast originating from an Atlanta station. Before we go to the questions, and I know there will be many, I think you'd like to know something about our moderator. Of course, all of you who are sports fans will know Bud Wilkinson. I know him so well that I don't think he needs his introduction, but as you recall, he was the great coach of the University of Oklahoma, one of the winningest coaches of all, and I'm just trying to get the winning habit for Bud. That's why in addition to helping us in our campaign, Bud now, as you know, does the commentating for the college football games, and so we football fans can now see a real celebrity here in a political context. And then over on the other side of the room here, we have some other visitors to Atlanta today. My wife, the best campaigner in the family, Mrs. Nixon. And an old friend and one who
Hold up, guys. Hold on. Yay! Oh my god! Oh my god. No way. Dude. Pumped up.
Good evening from the Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. I am Dorothy Ridings, the president of the League of Women Voters, the sponsor of this final presidential debate of the 1984 campaign between Republican Ronald Reagan and Democrat Walter Mondale. Our panelists for tonight's debate on defense and foreign policy issues are Georgie Ann Geyer, syndicated columnist for
I voted for Harry Byrd. Go Harry Byrd! I also voted for George Wallace. Go Harry Byrd! George Wallace! Harry Byrd! Harry Byrd! Harry Byrd! Nah, it's good. I voted for Nixon. I voted for Nixon in your election series.
Universal Press Syndicate, Marvin Kalb, Chief Diplomatic Correspondent for NBC News, Morton Kondracki, Executive Editor of the New Republic magazine, and Henry Truitt, Diplomatic Correspondent for the Baltimore Sun. Edwin Newman, formerly of NBC News and now a syndicated columnist for King Features, is our moderator. Ed?
Dorothy Ridings, thank you. A brief word about our procedure tonight. The first question will go to Mr. Mondale. He'll have 2.5 minutes to reply. Then the panel member who put the question will ask a follow-up. The answer to that will be limited to 1 minute. After that, the same question will be put to President Reagan. Again, there will be a follow-up, and then each man will have 1 minute for rebuttal. The second question will go to President Reagan first. After that, the alternating will continue. At the end, there will be 4-minute summations with President Reagan going last. We have asked the questioners to be brief. Let's begin. Ms. Geyer, your question to Mr. Mondale.
Mr. Mondale, two related questions on the crucial issue of Central America. You and the Democratic Party have said that the only policy toward the horrendous civil wars in Central America should be on the economic development and negotiations, with perhaps a quarantine of Marxist Nicaragua. Do you believe that these answers would in any way solve the bitter conflicts there? Do you really believe that there is no need to resort to force at all? Are not these solutions to Central Americans' gnawing problems simply, again, too weak and too late?
I believe that the question oversimplifies the difficulties of what we must do in Central America. Our objectives ought to be to strengthen the democracies, to stop communist and other extremist influences, and stabilize the community in that area. To do that, we need a three-pronged attack. One is military assistance to our friends who are being pressured. Secondly, a strong and sophisticated economic aid program and human rights program that offers a better life and a sharper alternative to the alternative.
Yeah, Rachel. Yeah, Rachel. You're underrated, man. Hold up. Let me just one more poll question. Did you guys see the new James A. Garfield new TV show coming out? Hold up. No! You know what? Hashtag justice for Nixon.
Offered by the totalitarians who oppose us, and finally, a strong diplomatic effort that pursues the possibilities of peace in the area. That's one of the big disagreements that we have with the president, that they have not pursued the diplomatic opportunities, either within El Salvador or as between the countries, and have lost time during which we might have been able to achieve a peace. This brings up the whole question of what presidential leadership is all about. I think the lesson in Central America, this recent embarrassment in Nicaragua, where we are giving instructions for hired assassins, hiring criminals, and the rest, all of this has strengthened our opponents. A president must not only assure that we're tough, but we must also be wise and smart in the exercise of that power. We saw the same thing in Lebanon, where we spent a good deal of America's assets, but because the leadership of this government did not pursue wise policies, we have been humiliated and our opponents are stronger. The bottom line...
Mitchell, you literally said your favorite vice president was Nixon. Now you're saying it's Spiro Agnew? What the... Nah, man.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps that people are creating. Smart nutrition apps, inventory trackers, onboarding tools, you name it. And if the only thing stopping you from making the app is the idea, then why not build an app that gives me endless app ideas? So let's make it. Pro tip, I draft the full app spec in ChatGPT.
I want to raise an issue that I think has been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and cast it specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience. If I still have time, I might add, Mr. Truitt, I might add that it was Seneca or it was Cicero, I don't know which, that said, if it was not for the elders correcting the mistakes of the young, there would be no state.
Damn straight.
I'd like to head for the fence and try to catch that one before it goes over, but I'll go on to another question.
He is buried at the Washington National Cathedral, the only American president buried in Washington, D.C. Some have... I am not Woodrow Wilson, and thank goodness for that, because if I was, the internet would hate me. I'm Mr. Beat, and why does the internet seem to hate Woodrow Wilson?
Thomas Woodrow Wilson. If you've been around the channel very long at all, you know I hate his guts. I hate him enough that... hate's a strong word. I never met the man. He's my least favorite president.
Wilson? To say I despise the man is quite an understatement.
Woodrow Wilson was an out-of-the-closet racist with ties to the Klan.
Woodrow Wilson, the worst president of all time. Do you also think so?
Yes. That said, some have come rushing to his defense.
By the standards of his day, executed the duties of his office effectively and well enough in line with popular consensus, as well as followed through with the agendas of the progressive movement and the agendas of the presidents who preceded him.
And actual historians, you know, not just people who make history videos, like myself, have been much kinder to Wilson. For example, Wilson was still ranked the 13th best president overall, according to the most recent C-SPAN Presidential Historians Survey. And every biography I've come across about Wilson seems to think his accomplishments outweigh all the negative stuff about him. The 28th American president had a huge impact on the country. In many ways, we are still living in Woodrow's world. No, not Wayne's World. Woodrow's world. That's better. He reshaped the presidency and had the most influential foreign policy of arguably any other president in the 20th century. He got major progressive legislation passed that, helped ordinary Americans. Regardless, Wilson is no doubt one of the most polarizing presidents in American history. It's why I sing, hated by some, loved by others, in the chorus of the song I wrote about him. Today, hated by some, loved by others.
Switch to Chrome to load your favorite sites fast, so you can browse with ease.
Why is he hated? Well, he was ridiculously racist. He expanded and further normalized racial segregation. He attacked many civil liberties and was arguably the most anti-freedom of speech president we've ever had. He was an elitist, a sexist. I mean, the guy freaking believed in eugenics. And longtime viewers of my channel might remember that I have made multiple videos explaining why I think he is one of the worst presidents in American history. Regardless, let's try to do something that scientists once thought was impossible. Make a balanced video about Woodrow Wilson. Wish me luck. Loved by others. Thomas Woodrow Wilson was born in Stanton, Virginia on December 28th, 1856. Here, yes, absolutely right here. This is where he was born. Supposedly it has 12 bedrooms and 12 fireplaces, or it did at one point. I don't know, that's just what they say. When I say they, I mean the folks who run this place. Born here in the birth room. No, they really call it that. Not sure if every house has a birth room, but I digress. He was the third of 4 children. His dad, Joseph, was a fairly well-known Presbyterian minister and theologian who rented slaves. His mom, Jessie, was an immigrant from England and had a huge impact on Tommy's worldview. Yeah, he was known as Tommy as a kid. Tommy boy! Aww. But Tommy only lived in this house for a little over a year. When he was a toddler, Joseph got transferred to lead a congregation down in Augusta, Georgia. Despite barely living here, Woodrow Wilson would still visit Stanton several times throughout his life. And today, the whole complex surrounding Wilson's birthplace makes up the Woodrow Wilson Presidential Library. Stanton is all about claiming Woodrow Wilson as his hometown, despite him, not having any actual memories living here. I'm in Woodrow Park. And now I'm in Wilson Park. His earliest memory actually happened down in Georgia. Devil went down to Georgia. That was hearing some angry person passing his house announcing that Abraham Lincoln had been elected president and that now there was going to be a war. Indeed, the American Civil War began just a few months later. Tommy's parents strongly supported the Confederacy during the war, even caring for wounded Confederate soldiers at their church. Joseph was a chaplain for the Confederate Army. Woodrow Wilson, by the way, was only one of 2 American presidents to be citizens of the Confederate States of America. That's kind of crazy. Growing up, Tommy struggled to learn to read and wasn't fully able to read until he was 12 years old. Many historians now say he had dyslexia and he'd be a slow reader his entire life. Despite this, Tommy had ambitions to go to college. He loved history, philosophy, and politics. By the time he was a teenager, the family now lived in Columbia, South Carolina. He'd end up attending 4 different colleges: Davidson, Princeton, which at the time was called the College of New Jersey, the University of Virginia, and Johns Hopkins. At Princeton, he excelled, joining as many leadership positions as he could. Poor health often held back his progress, though. This is why he left the University of Virginia's law school, for example. Regardless, he moved back in with his parents in North Carolina and continued to study law on his own. But after he became a lawyer in 1882, he hated it. That's when he decided to go to Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins. It's a really challenging thing for me to say for some reason. I always just want to say John Hopkins, but no, it's Johns Hopkins. Anyway, in the summer of 1883, Wilson met Ellen Louise Axon down in Rome, Georgia, while visiting relatives. Ellen was also the daughter of a Presbyterian minister, and the two quickly fell in love. In fact, they got engaged just weeks after meeting, but the wedding would be delayed. Say, don't you remember? Wilson was going up to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. Hello? The two exchanged hundreds of letters while Wilson studied political science and history. They married in 1885, and he'd earn a PhD the next year. Even though it doesn't hold up very well today, his dissertation, Congressional Government, a Study in American Politics, made the case that the president was too weak and Congress too dysfunctional. It ended up being widely read and respected in academia at the time. To this day, Wilson is the only American president to earn a PhD. Around the time he finished schooling, he now went by Woodrow instead of Tommy. No more Tommy boy. Woodrow was actually his mom's maiden name.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority.
Over the next few years, Ellen and Woodrow started a family. They'd have 3 daughters together, Margaret, Jessie, and Eleanor, or Nellie. All 3 would grow up to be incredibly intelligent and active in politics. Also, over the next few years, Wilson would both teach history and write history. Yep, he was an actual historian. Like, legit, bro. That said, by modern standards, he was kind of a crappy historian. His research was kind of meh. He relied way too much on secondary sources. He was all in on the lost mythology, or the narrative that the Confederacy fought the Civil War not to defend slavery, but for more honorable purposes, like states' rights. And his writing was extremely biased. Look, everybody is biased, just like everybody loves Raymond. But as a man, you just gotta at least try not to be biased. His writings reflect white supremacist views. In a popular textbook called History of the American People, which was used in school classrooms, I should add, he wrote, quote, "The white men were roused by a mere instinct of self-preservation, until at last there had sprung into existence a great Ku Klux Klan to protect the Southern country." Yeah, he freaking praised the KKK in a school textbook. His writings often framed history as the result of great men, usually white men, and he generally just wrote about everything in a judgy way. Still, his peers and colleagues respected him tremendously. He'd end up writing several books and dozens of essays throughout his career. But he was also a really good speaker. Wilson spent 3 years teaching at Bryn Mawr, a women's college near Philadelphia. Apparently, he didn't like it, feeling uncomfortable teaching women and not viewing them as intellectually serious. Ugh. And so he transferred to Wesleyan in Middletown, Connecticut, where he coached the debate team. But in 1890, he couldn't pass up an opportunity to return to his alma mater, Princeton. At Princeton, Wilson taught subjects like American government, political science, and constitutional law. Well, shoot, I can relate to that. He gave really captivating lectures, really held his students' attention. Although some students thought he was too serious and strict, Wilson had developed such a great reputation as a teacher and scholar that other schools tried to snatch him up. But instead, he became the president. What? Of Princeton University. That was in 1902 when he was 46. Although he loved teaching and writing, he gladly accepted the position. You see, Wilson secretly had bigger ambitions. He didn't tell many folks this at the time, but he had wanted to become a politician since he was a kid. And you might be thinking, wait, a college president is a politician? Dang right it is, bucko. I mean, basically. Wilson was the first non-minister to serve as president of Princeton, and he almost immediately shook things up. He introduced the preceptorial system, a term he came up with, by the way, which emphasizes small group discussions, one-on-one meetings with faculty, and independent study, as opposed to students just going to classes in big lecture halls. He pushed for a more merit-based admissions process. In other words, it no longer was just about who you knew in order to get in. It was about how good of student you were. He pushed for higher standards for the faculty, thus causing many of the professors to leave. Due to all this, Wilson made a lot of the old guard at Princeton very angry. But he also gained some fame across the country as a progressive fought back against the elites. In 1906, Wilson woke up one day to find himself blind in one eye. No, he likely had a stroke and possibly had strokes before this, actually, but it's not well documented. Still, Wilson mostly recovered and soon was dropping hints to influential Democratic Party dudes about his desire to run for public office. Flash forward to 1910, and many New Jersey Democratic leaders united to nominate a wild card to be the state's governor. Sure, they liked Wilson's politics and loved the fact that he was a great speaker, but they liked more that they could easily influence him due to his perceived political inexperience. Boy, were they wrong. Wilson did win the election and promptly turned on the party bosses, asserting his independence while getting some love as a progressive reformer. I should note that at the time, New Jersey was widely known as a politically corrupt state. As governor, Wilson signed a bill removing political patronage from state hiring practices. In other words, he brought a meritocracy to the state. He signed another bill that curbed bribery and vote buying in elections. He signed yet another bill that protected workers if they got injured on the job. He got direct primaries in the state for political party nominations, which weakened party bosses and gave ordinary voters more power. That said, all this was much in line with what other major progressive leaders around the country were doing. Also, there was that eugenics law. Yep, he also signed a law authorizing the sterilization of people deemed unfit to procreate. The law, thankfully, was repealed 2 years later, but this support for eugenics really makes Wilson look bad. Speaking of which, more than 1,200 forced sterilizations took place in Stanton, Wilson's hometown, making it a sort of eugenics hub for a hot minute. Oof.
Playing on iPhone? Now you can play Unlocked on PC with Google Play Games. Unlock bigger screens and better controls.
Regardless, by 1912, Wilson was one of the most beloved governors in the country. He had been thinking about running for president basically the entire time he was governor. Wilson had only seen one Democrat president his entire life. So normally the Democratic Party's expectations would be low. But lucky for them, Theodore Roosevelt had splintered the Republican Party by running for president with the Bull Moose Party. This was a huge break for the Democrats. Quite the luck they had. And after a tough primary race against the party favorite, Speaker of the House Champ Clark, Wilson surprised many by overcoming Clark to get the nomination at the Democratic National Convention that summer. And you can thank William Jennings Bryan for that. He swayed many votes Wilson's way.
Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited about this. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Netflix to drop a trailer for us for Death by Lightning. If you're not familiar with this upcoming 4-part series, Death by Lightning, it's based on a fantastic book called Destiny of the Republic. It tells the story of the assassination of President James Garfield, but it revolves actually the book around 3 main characters. It's James Garfield, his eventual assassin, Charles Guiteau, but also Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, who plays a big part in the story. of all of that. So I don't know if Bell's going to show up in the show or if they're going to mainly focus on Guiteau and Garfield, but it's a fantastic story. It's a fascinating time in American history because of all the political implications of what was going on. So the trailer dropped yesterday and the show comes out in just a couple of weeks. So I thought what we would do is actually take a look at the trailer and see what we can learn about and talk about the scenes that we see. And I'm just going to break down the trailer and point out some of the stuff that's happening. Having just read the book again, highly recommend it. I'll put the link. Check out the trailer without my breakdown, without my pausing and kind of nitpicking every little scene. Go ahead and watch the trailer first and then come back and watch my breakdown of it, or watch it afterwards. But either way, make sure you watch it. So let's dive into Death by Lightning.
Grammarly doesn't just help you with polishing your emails, it also lessens the mental load of replying to emails. When you start replying to an email, click this button to tag in Grammarly. You get a quick summary of the original email and a few suggested prompts based on what you received. Click on a prompt and Grammarly drafts a relevant reply for you in seconds. Use more suggested prompts to fine-tune the reply, and click here to insert it into the body of your email. Make any manual changes you want, and then send it off. And just like that, you're on your way to clearing out your inbox. Download Grammarly for free and see it for yourself.
Work and play without delay. Choose the browser engineered for speed.
There is an energy in the. So right off the bat, and I'm going to be pausing a lot to break this down. So we see Michael Shannon's character of James Garfield walking in, and this is clearly the 1880 Republican National Convention. I see Alexander Hamilton hanging there, Ben Franklin, and understand this is an important part of the story. It's deeply covered in the book. Garfield has been an 8 or 9 term congressman at this point from Northeast Ohio. He's actually where I live, was actually part of his district at one time. He's living in Menor, Ohio, which is kind of northeast of Cleveland, right up Lake Erie. And he goes into the 1880 convention to give the nominating speech for Ohio Senator John Sherman. In his bid for the Republican nomination. Sherman's the brother of William Tecumseh Sherman, longtime Ohio senator, had served in the cabinet for a while. And Garfield is widely known to be one of the best orators in the House. He's a great speaker. He's one of the leaders. He's been a chairman of some powerful committees in the House, probably would have ended up Speaker of the House at some point, actually gets elected to the Senate from Ohio in 1880, but never takes office because he ends up president instead. But he goes in to give the speech for Sherman. There are 3 main candidates going into the convention. This is before popular votes for party nominations, and so it's done by the delegates. There's John Sherman from Ohio. There's James Blaine, and then there's Roscoe Conkling's character or candidate. And we're going to talk about Conkling more, I'm sure. Ulysses S. Grant, the former 2-term president who has been out of office for 4 years and is now running for the nomination again. And none of them can get enough votes in order to win the nomination. So they go like 30 plus ballots trying to get a nominee, and they just can't come up with one. We're on the precipice of something desperately exciting. So that was Charles Guiteau, and we're going to talk more about him and get into this a little further.
I made a vow to end the rot in...
So right there, this is Roscoe Conkling, and who do you see right behind him? Nick Offerman playing Chester Arthur. To understand the politics of 1880 is to understand that man right there in front, Roscoe Conkling. He's a Republican senator from New York. This is a time in history when the primary income of the federal government is through tariffs. Interesting topic for today. But and the primary means of tariffs in the United States is through the port of New York. And so as the senator, one of the senators from the state of New York, Conkling has an incredible amount of power because he has largely controlled who gets that really, really important job of the head of the collections for customs at the port of New York. And Chester Arthur was kind of his hand. Arthur, when he gets elected vice president, is actually living in Conkling's house. Like, that's how close these guys are. Arthur is 1,000% in Conkling's pocket. And that's the kind of power that Conkling has. And when Conkling can't get his man, who is Ulysses S. Grant, elected, the best thing he can do then is to at least get his man Arthur to be on the ticket. And this is the balancing act that they're trying to do, the Republicans, is that they're trying to keep everybody happy. And so that's why they put Arthur on the ticket with Garfield, because Garfield was not Conkling's man at all.
Our party.
And and that was James Blaine.
We vowed to end the rot. In our party.
So there's James Blaine right there, who ends up Garfield's Secretary of State, and he's standing right next to Garfield when Garfield is shot at the train station. So here you have Blaine, you have Sherman from Garfield's home state of Ohio, and you have Conkling, who's the other real power and influence. And Blaine and Conkling are like polar opposites. They hate each other, and they both are vying for influence in this new administration.
Fall in love with the annual fall hiking spree. Through November 30th, hike 8 Summit Metro Parks.
President James Garfield.
So there we had Frederick Douglass introducing James Garfield, and a big part of Garfield's administration was going to be a continuation of a lot of the civil rights that Grant had fought for so hard.
All I want is to be a part of it.
That's Charles Guiteau right there. And you hear him saying, all I want is to be a part of it. Charles Guiteau, we've done videos about him, and I'll put a link down at the end. Charles Guiteau, clearly insane, serious mental health issues. Everybody in his family knew that. The man was a scam artist, but he was a lot of things at a lot of different times. And he goes into 1880 wanting to be a part of the election. He doesn't start out initially supporting Garfield until Garfield gets the nomination. And then he goes and starts like passing out pamphlets and giving speeches. And he thinks that he's the reason Garfield got elected president, because he once gave a speech to 20 or 30 people somewhere and passed out a bunch of pamphlets. And so you see that.
My name is Charles Guiteau.
Yeah.
What line of work are you in?
Politics.
So he thinks he's in politics, and he thinks he's way more important than he really is. I love this shot here because just about a month ago,
from the first presidential assassination, to the first televised debate, to the first commander-in-chief dropping a nuclear bomb. This is every presidential first in U.S. history. And you might...
Thanks, Retro. Thanks, man.
might want to grab some popcorn because these only get crazier with each president. Like George Washington, who was not only the first U.S. president, but the first and only president unanimously elected. Twice. Because Washington wasn't just another politician. He was a general who led a ragtag army against the most powerful empire on earth and won. His reputation was so massive, he could have crowned himself king. No, seriously, people offered. But Washington shocked the world when he said no to power. And this solidified him as a legend. However, when it came time to pick America's first president, the decision was automatic. Because the nation dragged him back into public service and gave him back-to-back unanimous election wins. Sorry, John Adams, but at least you were the first president to live in the White House. Cause in 1800, John and Abigail Adams moved into the White House, and it was kind of a construction zone. Workers hammering, dust everywhere, and half the rooms were unfinished. But the Adams made it work. Cause Abigail famously hung laundry in the East Room, cause nothing else was in it.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past.
I fucking hate
Tried
Abigail
other work
Adams!
management platforms, not naming names. They all suck. Monday, total opposite. Didn't just work.
But the move to